Yeah, great point. Susan just asked a question, and again, it was something that was kind of in my mind. She put it a little bit more eloquent than I had it. But you know, in a world where we've got lots of senior, particularly boards that are male, stale, and pale, to put it in the very blunt way, how do you get? You talked about the importance of senior buys and senior allies.
Mm-hmm.
When that group isn't particularly diverse in itself, how do you break through that and create? There's a word that Susan put there, headspace. Particularly when business is a challenge as well, and everybody's focused on kind of results driving everything.
Yeah.
How do you cut through that? How do you cut through that lack of diversity at senior level to get support?
I think often it's the case that you need support in the form of coaching for senior leaders to be able to understand what they need to do as well. I think when you're looking at attraction and you're attracting people into the business, it's about being able to demonstrate at least your efforts and what they look like and what the pipeline could look like, the career path. I think where you can encourage disclosure from senior leaders of characteristics that aren't necessarily visible, I think it's important to really try and capture and cultivate that within your culture, that disclosure is key, because that's often the starting point, because you're not going to be able to go from, like you say, a male, stale, pale senior leadership team to all of a sudden populating that with people of different characteristics overnight. But I think there may be a need to bring different people in over time, but also cultivating that pipeline. So you're not constantly looking externally to bring those people in. And then be able to make role models of some of those senior leaders or some of those mid-managers who have done well, and have a mentoring scheme, have a buddy scheme, have internal coaches qualified if you can. Now, again, there might be budgetary limitations at the moment, but how can L&D get involved in facilitating those relationships? And if you do have to go externally, it's not ideal, because it is just demonstrating that you don't have it within the business, but everyone needs to start somewhere. Yes. So who do you have in your industry, who does maybe have a more representative senior team? And actually, one of the things that I've found, having worked in L&D, but also very strongly in diversity and inclusion, is that competitive advantage often goes out the window when it comes to diversity and inclusion. People are still very willing to share because it is such a good cause. So link in with people, again, especially whilst a lot of us are working remotely, link in with people and talk about it. Have it as something, you know, in challenging times, with things that have happened, not just with COVID, but with other things going on in the world at the moment. How can we start having conversations about these things? And then it might be those people in your business who are from diverse communities, who do demonstrate that they have potential, that they have talent. What are you doing to link them in with other people in the industry who are maybe further ahead of them in their career path, and make sure that they can understand how they can overcome specific challenges to them as well. And I think in the meantime, when you are bringing people into the business at a more senior level, there is often the argument around positive discrimination. Did somebody just get the role because they have a certain characteristic? And I think people really jump to conclusions here, because there is a wild difference between positive discrimination and positive action. Discrimination isn't good, and in most circumstances, it shouldn't happen. But positive action is what you can do far prior to anything like that needing to happen. And this is things like, where are you advertising for roles? Where are you looking to recruit? Because if you're going to the same forums, the same websites, the same publications, you're going to get the same group of people applying for the role, which minimises the pool that you have to choose from. Yeah. So if you look more broadly, if you work with other organisations, work with charities, and start to publicise roles much further afield, that's when you can really start gauging the interest. And then you'll find that it's actually quite exponential from there, because it's almost like a sort of tree effect, in that it gets further and wider as well.